Do you have a niggling feeling in your heart that you'd like to start a YouTube channel? It's been sort of tickling in your brain for a while, and you have a message that you want to share with the world, like with your unique voice, and you know that it could make a positive impact on people. And that's really important for all of us. We all have a unique voice. But you've been coming up with a ton of excuses, and I did the same. So I'm going to blow all that up for you today and make it easy to get started. Let me guess, you've told yourself that I don't know what camera to start with, or I'm not tech savvy enough to edit a video, which was my big thing. And then I thought, well, who wants to hear what I have to say anyway? Does that sound familiar? And what's the real reason stopping you from starting a YouTube channel? Is it fear? Fear is one of our big things, isn't it? And maybe it's just confusion, just too much to figure out. Or maybe you think you need fancy gear. Today I'm going to show you that you don't need fancy gear, and I can prove it because I'm filming this on an iPhone. And I've learned a lot of people film on iPhones, or smartphone I should say. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sherri Wilkins. I am your adventuress, diving headfirst into the wild world of YouTube. I'm really new at my YouTube journey, and I want to share with you what I've learned so far. Today I'm going to spill the tea on the challenges and the wins, because I've had some wins too, of starting a YouTube channel. The most important and biggest thing that I've learned so far is just start. I was told that many times, and I knew that lesson forever, but it's like riding your bicycle when you're young and you want to learn to ride without training wheels. I remember very clearly the day that my dad took the training wheels off my bike. I was still wobbly. If you can imagine this, I was on like my little bike with a long banana seat and with fringe off each side of the handlebars, and he took those training wheels off. I was like, whoa! It was so much fun. There was so much freedom. There was so much joy, and it allowed me to explore, and here I am, I'm still exploring. But I had to learn these things to get here, right? And so will you. But one thing I want to share with you is that you don't need any fancy gear. I've got a huge tip that I want to share with you at the end of this video. I just thought of it when I was walking the dog, and it was like the biggest thing that I want to share, so I can't believe I just thought of that. But stick around today, and I'm going to share with you a really fun secret. But I'm going to kick things off with talking about my iPhone. So I am filming now on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. A lot of YouTubers make their videos just using iPhones, and I had one, so that gave me a very good reason to avoid that excuse about cameras. I already had a phone. One thing I did invest in though is a microphone. So everyone said that audio is so important when you're making a YouTube video, and I did invest in audio. I went with the convenience of a wireless microphone. I chose the Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone. When it arrived in the mail, I'll be honest with you, it sat on my table here in the motorhome, and then I put it in a cupboard in the motorhome, and it stayed there for a really long time because I knew that tying up the video with the audio in an editing suite was going to drive me nuts. But I got brave one day, and now I'm using this new audio. The other thing that I'm using is a tripod. I had a tripod already. It was in the back cupboard of the motorhome, and I tried to sell it a couple years ago and it didn't sell. I've been carrying it around on my travels around Australia, not using it, and here now it comes in really handy. So I've got a tripod. And then one thing I bought to go with that tripod, because I'm using an iPhone, is a MagSafe mount. And you'll see how handy dandy that MagSafe mount is, because I kept dropping the phone when I was trying to put it in the bracket, and the MagSafe just allows you to snap it on and snap it off, like done. It makes me so happy. And it was another thing that was cheap enough just to order on Amazon. So that's it. You probably have most of what you need to start a YouTube channel as well. And if not, there's some really budget-friendly options out there. I'll put links below to the ones that I chose. Starting a YouTube channel is really exciting, but wow, there is quite a lot to learn. But learning is really good for the brain, if you ask me, especially in my older years, flexing the muscles. So the biggest challenge I had in the beginning was figuring out the settings for the camera. It's recommended that to film a video for YouTube, that your camera settings are at 4K or 1080p, but preferably 4K, and running at 30 frames per second. The other popular option there is 60 frames per second. The 30 frames per second is recommended because the 60 frames per second is a little bit more challenging in the editing suite. If it's recommended for somebody like me who's new and just starting and has still quite challenged in the editing department, I'm just starting with the basics, and as things go along, maybe I'll make better videos with better 60 frames instead of 30 frames. We'll see. But it's working out so far. The next thing was they recommended you turn HDR off in your camera settings. HDR is high dynamic range, and what that means is it gives you more bright, more colorful footage. When it's automatically on, it sort of shifts as you move around, and it's also challenging in the editing suite. And then lastly is the white balance. That's also recommended to be put to manual, because if it's on automatic, the same thing. It changes as you move around, and then it just looks very choppy as you try to edit it. What I got a tip though, which I'd like to share with you, is just make a little cheat sheet. Like if you have to make your settings every time you shoot a scene, that you have these settings correct, then a little cheat sheet helps. But I also learned that you could make it so that your phone remembers your last settings. The next biggest thing was the editing, and that is what I dragged my feet with the most. As I mentioned before, I did not want to have to figure out how to line up audio and video, and the best trick that I found there was the editing program that I chose, which is called CapCut. I didn't learn it right away though. I think I was on video 2 or video 3 where it was driving me crazy trying to line up the video and the audio. And in CapCut you can actually choose your audio file and choose your video file, and then there's a button that you choose and it says sync audio and video, and you stick a little and voila, like it's done. It lined it up for me. Hallelujah. That was such a blessing. That was so huge for me. So, and that actually gets me excited, because now I don't wanting to edit, even make a YouTube video, because I don't want to hate editing. So good on you, CapCut. But I have tried 3 editing programs so far. CapCut, as I just mentioned, DaVinci Resolve. And maybe because I got a little bit too used to CapCut, I found it hard to adjust to. And I ended up throwing that video out and going back to CapCut just for my own sanity, just to get that video done. And then the third one that I tried was one called Descript. And Descript is an AI-based editing program that is really interesting. It takes your video and your audio and turns your audio into a script on the left-hand side of your screen. And then you can just type in at the top of the screen to delete ums or highlight ums, and you can go through the whole script and just tell it, just delete all the ums. And it just takes all the ums and the video that corresponds to your and cuts it out of your video, and it's done. You don't have to go through the whole video. The AI did it for you, and the theory is really cool, and I was like, I'm gonna love that. I found it a little bit of a challenge, and it didn't work as nicely and smoothly for me as they made it sound like it should. And it probably does. It's just something maybe I need to practice with more. So again, I ended up throwing out that video and going back to CapCut. CapCut is just really user-friendly for me right now in these early stages. So like my first video, one of the big things I learned, you know, just going back to these settings things, is your lighting. Lighting is really important so that, you know, we can, you know, relate on screen. And when I made my first video, I was walking out in the woods, and it was sunset, and all this orange light was coming through the trees and hitting my face, and that didn't look very good. And then I was like, I can walk and talk, I can make a video, but I was hiking and I was walking uphill and I was huffing and puffing, and I had to edit out all of this heavy breathing. I had to edit out all these ums because I was stumbling with my words as I was nervous about what I was going to talk about. It turned out to be pretty a choppy video. So the results of that first video, it was kind of rough, but it was all part of the adventure, and you know I'm always up for a good adventure, so let it be rough, you know, let it look bad. At least I did something and I learned something and I started. On my motorcycle journey many years ago, I started a blog, not for other people to read. I really just wanted a blog to keep my memories sort of in a a nice and neat place. My first blog posts were so bad. I remember a blog post that was less than a paragraph, and I was talking about the lightning that I was looking out my window. It was so bad. But as time went on and as I was traveling, there's just more things to talk about, as you can imagine, and it just became easier and easier. My blog posts got longer and longer, and I'm sort of hoping that that's going to be the same for this. So it's a journey. And speaking of that old blog, I really loved that blog because it gave me a purpose. Like, even though I was traveling alone on my motorcycle almost each night and morning, so at night I'd put my photos together and I would start writing the stories around the photos. In the morning I would just clean it up and make it better, and I almost every day I put a blog post out, and it shocked the heck out of me when I learned that people were reading it. But I just really enjoyed that creative process, and through putting that blog online, I met new people and I made lifelong friends. So that really surprised me. I just totally didn't expect that. But with these YouTube videos, you know, after I got over a couple of those pretty severe hurdles with the camera, the settings, and the editing, then I noticed I was having fun with the video creation process, because it really reminded me of the blog creation process. Again, it was about the purpose. You know, like if you like traveling the world like I do, or just traveling the country, or traveling your state, whatever it is, you might like to document as well. And it just gives you more purpose than just going around and taking some photos that you never look at again. Like, you put them together and you put the stories together, and to me it's quite fun. So I've got a few more wins that I can share with you. One of them was just, I've already talked about, is my videos are not perfect, but I'm making some progress. My editing time, this is a good win. My editing time is getting quicker. If you're still on the fence about posting a YouTube video, here's my pep talk. Just start. Honestly, I've already hopefully impressed on you that I've been bad at everything, but I had to start. I had to start and be bad to get going, and that's just part of the process. Now, even if nobody watches your video, or maybe just your best friend, or even just your dentist see your video, just the fact that you started something, you went through the entire process, and you uploaded it onto your YouTube channel, like, it all just feels good. So just start. Now for my promised biggest tip. I discovered a YouTuber. Her name is Alexa Serenoya, and she inspires young at heart new YouTubers like me to start their channel. And she has what's called a school group, SKOOL. I had never heard of it before, but I joined her school group. She has like a classroom where there's a lot of free resources in there and a checklist just to get you started with your first YouTube channel. And I cannot rave about it enough, because number one, it's free. Number two, it's very well taught, because she's been a teacher her whole life. She knows how to teach. In that group, you can feel safe about asking the silliest question, because all the members on there are new YouTubers as well, or even if they've got a good and going YouTube channel, they offer nothing but encouraging answers to any little question you can think of. That has been my biggest tip to help get you started on your first YouTube channel, is to look Alexa Serenoya up. I'll put a link to her page below. I also met another YouTuber on her school page who focuses on AI mastery. Using AI, you need content, and with content you need ideas, and you can use AI. ChatGPT is what we've been using the most to help you with your content ideas, or script writing, or whatever it might be. It's been huge what I've learned. And Dave Naraki has his own school group as well called AI Mastery. So between Alexa and Dave, I've learned a heck of a lot. And between the two of them, all of their content is free, and it's so well done. They're both very, very good teachers. So that's my hugest and biggest and favorite tip that I can share with you today. And I hope that was worth sticking around for. I'm sticking to weekly posts now, so I would love for you to come along for the ride. Got tips? Whether you're a newbie or a pro YouTuber, I'd love to hear your tips. I'm all ears. Got milk? Just kidding. Got struggles? let me know in the comments, because I'm there with you, man. Just, we can go through this together. Do you have any questions about what you learned today? Is there anything I could have explained better or been more clear about? Please let me know. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, because we can keep exploring the world together, and we can keep YouTubing together. Until next time, keep filming, keep learning, and let's hit the road.